So Brett Cooper actually talked about her being homeschooled on the Iced Coffee Hour.
Let's hear it.
I like this podcast. It's about, I think, 2 minutes.
I remember seeing homeschool kids as a kid, and they were always kind of weird.
Yeah.
Which there are some.
That would be my biggest concern of like ever doing homeschooling is feeling like they're in a bubble, that they don't get the true experience. They're not going to be like out there kind of like forging their own path. What are your thoughts about that?
I think it comes down to the parents and how you dictate it. Because obviously, if you keep your kid just inside and you don't facilitate any other kind of extracurriculars, they're not going to benefit from it.
True.
But the benefit of homeschooling is the opportunities and the freedom and the flexibility that you do have. So if you are in, you know, like my online school that I went to, I didn't have to finish all my classes by a certain period. I had like 9 months. And so if I...
Which I do want to say this. So she said online. Okay, now when I was younger, we didn't have online. We had computer programs. People will look down on a kid who's learning from home online, but will then go to college online.
And work from home online.
And work from home online.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes.
I wanted to get everything done in 2 weeks. I could have. If I said, hey, you know, I'm shooting this movie. I'm not going to be able to do this for 3 months. I can pick it up later.
It's annoying. It's annoying me because the host's mics are picking up her voice. I can hear it. I can hear the room noise.
You audiophile.
I didn't go to we tried a co-op for a bit where you would go, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for like 2 hours in the morning and you would get graded. Didn't really love that. The opportunities weren't great in Chattanooga. But I had so much flexibility, so I was able to do everything that I was interested in. I took art classes. I did gymnastics. I volunteered. And that was only because I had the time to do it. I was not, you know, in school until 3 p.m. I spent so much time with my family. I spent so much quality time with my brothers. My relationship with my mom is one of the things that I'm most proud of. And we really developed that over, you know, that period.
That's the thing, too, is like I'm really close with my mom and dad. Like they're not perfect
And you're really
people.
close with your kids as well. So like you're it makes sense that you would prioritize that.
And I feel like it's a little more natural. I mean, for almost all of civilization, parents were just had their kids with them. And it's a very recent thing that we just shoo them off.
Yeah.
But I also, like, the smartest people I know in my life are homeschoolers because they, you know, advanced so quickly in their academic careers because they started working at a very young age. They're incredibly self-reliant. And I think those are some of the benefits. But again, it does go back to the parents. And so if you want to homeschool, but you are not in a position to take all of that on, it's like then maybe they would be maybe better off in some other school. And if you are concerned about academics, try maybe a public school or a private school.
Sure.
But I would also push back on people saying that homeschoolers are inherently weird. Because I definitely was weird. I was a total nerd. I was a theater kid. I had a career. And I look at kids that are normal these days, and I'm so glad that I'm not one.
So a lot of that, too, is like, I can relate to that.
Dude, public school kids are weird, too.
Yeah.
Especially today.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird world where, honestly, roles have reversed. Like, you look at a good chunk of public school kids, like, they're weird.
Yeah.
Where
so anxiety ridden.
From my perspective, from what I see, and I look at like homeschool kids, I'm like, oh, that's
that's also
more normal.
It's also like healthy homeschools because like I know families where they didn't have a healthy relationship, where the parents were just dictators. The kids lived in fear of like maybe like I particularly know someone who was like kind of had a militant father, was very like military style. The kids always stood in line. They'd wear suits everywhere they went, and they were just awkward, uncomfortable kids. They were brilliant, but like they can't function necessarily in society. And then there's the parents that say they're homeschooling their kids, and then they don't do anything. They don't teach them. They just didn't want them to go to public schools, and they couldn't afford private schools.
Well, and is there more to this?
No, that's it. That's as far as this one goes.
So I think that's I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt when we talk about Scientific American. I think that's that was the tone and tenor of this article when they say, there's potential for, quote, an untold number of U.S. children at risk of poor education or even abuse. I think.
I've known some of those kids.
Yeah. Yeah. However, let's look at some of the data. Let's look at some of the evidence here, because I went through some of this stuff. If we're looking at homeschool kids versus public school, homeschool kids score 15 to 30% higher on standardized tests. They score higher on the SAT and the ACT. They are increasingly recruited by colleges and universities. And students, homeschool students, for many of the reasons we've already mentioned on the show, they prefer it. It's flexible. You can learn on vacation. Like I said, there's this, it can be more kind of customized and fun. Like these immersive experiences, extracurriculars, like Brett Cooper said, can be more relaxed. There can be clarity and extra care around, an individual student. Like if you're working with the teacher all the time, or you're getting your instruction through a virtual environment, you can go at your own pace. And there's so many advantages to that. And then across the board, like today's modern homeschool kid is typically above average for social, emotional, and psychological development. They have lots of advantages.
Hey, thanks for watching this clip. If you want to see the full podcast, be sure to click on the link in the description. And if you feel like it, hit subscribe.